Welcome back to I Am Well podcast. I am your host, Hi Pyogi, and today we are diving into something that feels both radical and essential: amplifying joy. In a world that often feels heavy, joy can seem like a luxury. But what if I told you joy isn't just a fleeting emotion? It's a practice, a choice, a skill we can cultivate even in the smallest moments. I don't know if you have heard episode one, but I hinted a little bit about that joy that I want to dive in a little bit more deeply in today's episode. I really love the word joy. First of all, it's actually my name, Karen Joy, just in case you are wondering what KJ means. And so, embodying joy and living a joyous life is something that I live by every single day. I also really like that I am from a country that is so joyous, the Philippines. And when you really meet Filipino people, it seems like they don't have no problems existing because they are the happiest. They live moment by moment, living in the present, and they just know how to have fun. They love to dance and they love to sing, they love to express. Um, and I still remember growing up there in the Philippines, the first, 16 years of my life, going to 17. And I see people who are just genuinely happy, um, genuinely willing to just give each other laughs, make each other laugh, and share a smile. So that's something that I hold near and dear to my heart. So, in this episode, I just want to talk about um, the science behind this joy and get a little bit deeper into it. Research shows that small, intentional acts of joy, what scientists call microacts, can significantly boost our well being. A study from NPR found that people who engage in daily micro acts, like expressing gratitude or performing acts of kindness, reported a 27% increase in their sense of agency and emotional well being over just a week of data. These aren't grand gestures, they are simple, everyday actions that reminds us we have the power to influence our own happiness. These small gestures can be as easy as opening a door for someone, letting them go first before you, just little kind acts of um, showing that you care about someone else, greeting people good morning. Or good evening, or say what's up, how you doing? It's actually really crazy. Last week we were in Paris, as you know, and every single person there always greet each other. Hello. Bonjour. And that is like one way to brighten someone's day. I know it's just a custom, or sometimes it feels like just a repetitive saying of, "Hey, what's up? Hey, how you doing?" We always ask that. Um, but often it's empty. But truly, what we are trying to do is just acknowledging someone's presence, someone's energy, someone's being by extending a smile or extending a greeting. So today, let's get started with a practice of groundedness. Let's take our time to find our breath here. Maybe shrug our shoulders away from the ears. Maybe allowing the right ear to drop on your right shoulder, allowing the left ear to drop on your left. And just taking a moment to breathe. Inhale in through the nose, filling up all the way to the top. And then perhaps sighing it out, letting it go. Allowing your shoulders to drop down, away from the ears. Doing that two more times. Maybe shrug your shoulders up to your ears on your inhale. And then dramatically shrug the shoulders down on your exhale. Hmm. Let me loosen up. Perhaps you loosen up too. Inhale, shrug the shoulders up. And then on exhale, release it down. Inhale here. Maybe create a fist. And then release. And feeling that rush of blood all the way to your fingertips. Beautiful. No matter where you're at in your day listening to this podcast, know that you can always gather groundedness in the moment by just breathing mindfully in the present moment, savoring that breath and savoring that inhale, finding that pause between breaths and finding your exhale. Hmm. Joy is a skill, not a state. Joy isn't something that just happens to us, it's something we can actively create. Dr. Barbara Fredrickson, there's this theory that is called broaden and build that suggests that positive emotions like joy expand our thinking and build personal resources over time. So, how do we build joy? Well, by practicing it. Here are three simple steps to add to your everyday life to amplify joy. Maybe a caveat before the first three is to do yoga every day. That brings me joy. Mm. Joy isn't something we have to chase, it's something we can nurture one intentional moment at a time. It is slowing down and allowing yourself to really feel every single moment. So, here are three powerful science backed ways to bring joy into your life starting today. The first one is, if you haven't done so yet, start a gratitude journal. Gratitude is more than just a feel good sentiment, it's a mindset that can transform your outlook on life. By keeping a gratitude journal, you train your brain to notice and appreciate the positive. Have you ever noticed the moment you train your brain to look at something, notice something, somehow you just start noticing it every single time, right? At least for me, um, for the longest time, I probably this is the same as you. If you are driving a Jeep, you will never miss another Jeep on the road. Maybe not even owning a Jeep. It's just you rode a Jeep, and every single time you get to see or you're on the road, you will just never miss it. Um, that's some example that I can say. So notice where you put your attention, and that attention just expand. And so if you put your attention to gratitude and positivity, that also expands. Each day, write down three things you are thankful for. They don't have to be big. It could be sunlight on your face, a kind message from a friend, an audio message, a FaceTime message, uh, or even a perfect cup of coffee in the morning. So, studies show that practicing gratitude regularly can reduce anxiety and depression, improves quality. Studies show that practicing gratitude regularly can reduce anxiety and depression, improve quality sleep, and increase happiness and life satisfaction. Over time, you'll start to naturally focus more on what's right in your life rather than what is missing. So focus on what you have, expand on that, and then the rest will follow. So I want to encourage you to try this. At the end of each day, write down one thing that you made. At the end of each day, write one thing that made you smile, one person you are grateful for, and one thing you are looking forward to. Hmm. Another thing on our list to amplify joy is to savor the small moments. I love this. Living such a busy life, sometimes we don't really live and savor every single second that we have. It just goes from one to the next. So we often overlook the simple pleasures of life while rushing towards the next big thing. Savoring is a practice that's slowing down and fully engaging with the present moment. It's about appreciating your senses, your surroundings, and the fleeting beauty of everyday life. I'm such a tactile person, and so I love texture. I often rub my hands together to feel the sensations against my fingertips, on my palms, the temperature. I often close my eyes so I can heighten the senses around me, the audio, music, perhaps the smell, the invisible movements in a way, because when you close your physical eyes, you get to just have this sense of understanding of energy and space. Um, Most of the time, when I begin a class, I close my eyes and I just feel the room and feel the energy of the room. Um, feel in every single person in the room, space wise, understanding the state of their energetic space in that moment. And then based on that, it creates this atmosphere of understanding what is really truly needed in that moment, in that room. And so I love to savor these small moments in time, even just 30 seconds of just deepening your senses in that very moment so you can guide yourself or the room um, to where you can feel more alignment. Savoring helps amplify positive emotions and buffers against stress and negative thinking. It encourages mindfulness, allowing you to feel more grounded and content in the here and now. So, I want to encourage you to try something this week. Next time you enjoy something, whether it's a meal or a walk or a conversation, pause for a moment, notice the details, breathe it in, and let yourself fully feel the joy of it. I remember a time I was in the streets of Rome, and as I sat outside of this cafe drinking my espresso, possibly having some treats because they have the best desserts in Rome. I sat there and I was writing on my pages, and I felt my pen on my hand, um, the tip of the pen gliding on my paper, on my pages. And as I sit there and write how I felt in the moment and what I smelt, is that a word? Smelt? Smelled in the moment, what I was listening to, and what I saw. There's actually this thing called ethnography. And I did that a lot when I was an undergrad. And basically, it is just that, to write down specifically how it feels to be sitting there in that very moment. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you feel? Mm. And then in that moment, obviously, I was drinking coffee. And eating some sweets. So savor the small moments. When was the last time you took your time to just savor a moment to just be? Hmm. When I was a business owner and my days were filled with sameness, basically going to work, opening the studio, going back home, sleeping, waking up again the next day, doing the same thing over and over again. So that becomes my routine. I actually did not see the sidewalk for quite some time. I basically just hop on in my car, drove to the studio, hop off. I was still in the garage, go back to the studio. So I barely really walked the streets. I was not out on the streets. um, and I remember one day when I actually had time to walk the streets because something had changed in life. And I was walking on the street and I felt this rush of emotion come to me, come run into me. How do you say that? I felt this rush of emotion come to me and I just start crying because it's just those simple things that people probably don't often associate with savoring the moment or even missing to walk the side streets. Um, but I remember that moment when I was like, oh my gosh, I'm walking the streets. And it was probably, it was fall at that time. So as you look down on the sidewalk, we see some leaves on the ground, um, piled on top of one another. It's some situation. I don't know. I'm just very observant in that way, really understanding how it feels to be in that moment. So take a moment uh, sometime this week to just savor whatever it is that you are doing. Okay. So the third way to amplify joy is to engage in acts of kindness. Joy multiplies when you share it. And one way that I share joy is through teaching yoga. If you've been in my class, I know a lot of y'all who's listening to this podcast are students of mine. So I want to thank you for being here and listening in and continuing to amplify joy for one another. Um, Joy is one of the central feelings and emotions that is co created in class. And I am so grateful for that expansion and sharing and the growth that we feel in the room. At least for me, seeing all my students grow um, makes me so joyous. One thing that we do in class is I actually ask my students to demo in front of class and to see them find courage to number one, and two, confidence, and then three, willingness to be teachers themselves is just so rewarding. So, back to engaging in acts of kindness, it is important for us to acknowledge each other's being. Doing something kind for someone else, even something very small, can light up both their day and yours. Whether it's a heartfelt compliment, helping a neighbor, or simply listening with empathy, kindness creates connection, and connection is key to happiness. Research shows that performing acts of kindness increases levels of dopamine and serotonin, the brain's feel good chemicals. It can also lower blood pressure and boost self esteem. Plus, kindness has a ripple effect. It inspires others to pay it forward. So this week, I encourage you. This is the final encouragement for this week. Make it a goal to do one intentional act of kindness each day. It can be anonymous or face to face, big or small. You'll be surprised on how much joy it brings, and not just to others, but to you too. I also want to let you know that I'm reading this book by Dean Spade, a local author here in Seattle, Washington. We actually did pass our journeys together at some point when I was an undergrad. Um, Dean Spade specifically is the author of Normal Life, Administrative Violence, Critical Trans Politics, and the Limits of Law and Mutual Aid, Building Solidarity during this crisis and the next. He has worked for 20 years as a leading voice for trans liberation, prison abolition, and mutual aid. You can find him at deanspade.net. So, back in the day when I was in undergrad, I did a lot of work on restorative justice and prison abolition. And this is when we crossed our paths all the way in University of Washington. Um, what was this, 2012? It's quite some time ago. But I picked up this book on one of those days when I was savoring moments to myself, a little date day for myself at a local bookstore in Burien, Washington. And so I was there walking the streets, like I was talking to you about earlier, savoring the moments one step at a time. It was a sunny day, and yes, I had coffee across the street from this bookstore. And I wish I can remember the name of the bookstore. I'll write it on the description, I guess, because it's important to support local bookstores that we have. But I want to read to you. I'm very in the beginning stages of the writing or the reading. And so this is the one that stood out to me so far. Encourage you to pick up the book and read it with me for this month's reading if you want to. It says, humans evolved in groups, sharing everything in order to survive. We are built to connect and relate. Caring for one another and working to make things better fills our lives with meaning, satisfaction, creativity, joy, and a sense of belonging. Later on that paragraph, it says, our relationships to those around us are what make up our worlds. They comprise the world. We need to liberate them. Humans are relational. We need each other. We cannot survive alone. And whether or not we acknowledge that interdependency, it determines everything about our lives. Okay, that's just a little bit of that of this book. I don't know if I told you the name of the book. I just went straight to who wrote it. The name of the book is Love in a Fucked Up World: How to Build Relationships, Hook Up, and Raise Hell Together by Dean Spade, author of Mutual Aid. Joy is contagious. Remember, joy isn't just personal, it's communal. Sharing moments of joy with others can amplify those feelings and strengthen our connections. So don't hesitate to spread your light. Share your joy, spark joy in someone. It's like we are truly meant to share joy with one another, because a life without joy is not really joyous. And I hope that you choose to share your joy with someone, just like me sharing you this book. Um, Perhaps sharing movements with you, sharing a word with you, sharing conversations that light you up. So, before we close out this episode, that more so just encourages you to choose joy every single day and to share joy uh, with others. Let's take a moment to ground ourselves with another round of breath. Inhale in and then an exhale out. Notice your body. Feel your sit bones as you root. Lengthen the spine, one vertebra on top of one another. Feeling the low back to your mid back, all the way to your upper back, allowing the shoulders to shrug. Allow your collarbones to expand. Soften the elbows. Let this beautiful cleansing breath take over the body, softening here in the space, allowing yourself to truly ground down and asking yourself, what is it that truly brings me joy? Hmm. Think of one small thing that brought you joy today, no matter how tiny it is or it was. And I want you to hold that feeling and let it fill you all the way to the brim. Hmm. Know that joy is always within reach, even in the smallest moments. Well, I thank you all so much for joining me into this episode on joy. If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who could use a little more joy in their day to day life. Mm. And don't forget to subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and leave a comment. Don't forget to follow us on I Am Well Podcast and Hype Yogi. And until next time, I'll see you all soon again. Keep amplifying joy. Stay well, be well. Peace out.